Part 81. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 801. The final personnel allocation of the Mingjing team is also interesting. It is not Xiaoming and his team who choose the boss, but the boss Lian Haolong who directly arranges it. Xiaoming secretly made some small moves to influence Lian Haolong's arrangement. Those who want to be grouped together just need to stand closer together so that the boss can see that the two have a good relationship. Lian Haolong will naturally allocate according to the situation. As a gangster, in such insignificant matters, they still treat their younger brothers with human feelings. So the Fat Protector, Zhang Wen, and the leader's right guard, Huang Xiaoming, followed the boss Lian Haolong. As both are fat, he may have a good impression of brother Wen's figure. The leader's sister, Xiao Jing'er, and the leader's left guard, Lu Xiaoming, were arranged to be younger brothers of Lian Haolong's wife Susu. Xiao Jing'er is a girl, and Lian Haolong thinks it is safer for her to follow his wife. A sword shines coldly across the 9 states, and together with Kangma, Xiaoming's follower, they work as lackeys for Lian Haolong's younger brother Lian Hedong. Kangma is a very shrewd character at first glance. With him helping his younger brother, Lian Haolong can feel more at ease. Kraken and Xiaoming's other follower Xiajia continue to follow everyone's guide Ao. Although Ao is not in a high position, he is old enough and is the discoverer of the Mingjing team. He should be given some preferential treatment in the gang. In the end, the leader, Yin Xiaoming, brought the young leader who was incarnated as Xiao Xiao'er, who was most favored by Lian Haolong because of his strength, and was responsible for protecting Lian Haolong's son who had just turned 1 month old. And also protect the child's mother. Each group consists of 2 people, and 10 people are divided into 5 groups. In each group, there is either a clone of Xiaoming or a follower of Xiaoming. This way, it is easier to contact each other. Even if this world blocks supernatural energy, the close connection between Xiaoming's 3 souls cannot be cut off. There is also a special communication channel between the followers and the master, similar to spiritual communication, provided by the reincarnation space. After this allocation, the 5 groups of people can maintain smooth information communication. Everything can be handled more easily. In addition, please note that the son that Yin Xiaoming went to protect was not born by Lian Haolong's wife, sister Susu. Susu was no longer able to have children due to physical reasons. So Lian Haolong specially married a concubine, Lisa, and this gentle and shy concubine gave birth to a son for Lian Haolong. It is conceivable how happy Lian Haolong would be to have a son in his old age. Today is the full moon wine for this son. The loyal brothers and friends in the underworld came to support it. It was really lively. The reincarnation space took this opportunity to recommend some rising stars in the gang to the boss through Awu. The recommended ones are the people of the Mingjing team. The whole banquet was as lively as a wedding. Xiaoming and others followed their new bosses, watching the show from a distance or near. The other big brothers had hundreds of younger brothers to mobilize, and they didn't care much about Xiaoming and the 10 newcomers. In addition to Lian Haolong who valued a few people, only Luo Tianhong, who was highly skilled in martial arts, was interested in these newcomers. Luo Tianhong could see that these people had quite good physical fitness. Judging from their postures of walking, sitting, and lying, they should also know some kung fu. It was rare to meet so many masters at once, and he was a little itchy and wanted to have a fight to satisfy his excitement. With so many worthy opponents running out at once, Luo Tianhong felt like he had won the lottery. The person who interested him most among these people was Xiaoming. Because the other few people were at least sea-level combat power, their fighting methods were also very different from ordinary people. Xiao Jing'er's moves required the consumption of the spirit power of the god of death. Zhang Wen used telekinesis, Zhao Zhe's whose dragon swordsmanship was even more profound. These martial arts were not applicable to ordinary people at all. The combat power seemed low. Kraken is a mecha pilot, He doesn't know martial arts at all. Luo Tianhong has no interest in him either. Only Xiao Ming has played the game for so long in a martial arts planet without supernatural energy. His martial arts foundation is extremely solid. From his gestures, experts can see that he is a martial artist. So Lian Haolong sent his 3 clones to protect himself, his wife, and his son respectively. It is also because of this that Luo Tianhong stared at Xiao Ming. If the occasion was not really inappropriate, he would have drawn his sword and started to spar with Xiao Ming. Just when Xiao Ming was a little uncomfortable being stared at by Luo Tianhong, there was a noise outside the banquet hall. Luo Tianhong, Wu, and other big brothers hurriedly took a few trusted men out to see the situation. Among them were Xiaojia and Kraken, who followed Wu. The uninvited people were another camp in this world, the Hong Kong police. The police officers of the anti-black group headed by Senior Inspector Liao Zhaizhong. They were just here to eat, but seeing so many big brothers from Zhong Xianyi here, they naturally came to see what was going on. Zhong Xianyi didn't cause any trouble, so they were very upset when a few policemen came over. Of course, they couldn't let them in casually, so the two sides started to butt heads at the stairs. Not long after, Lian Hedong came out to confront Liao Zhaizhong, and talked nonsense for a long time. Finally, Lian Haolong also came out, and the two sides talked for a few words and then parted unhappily. This was also a destined result. In such a high-end club, although the two sides were enemies, they couldn't really pull out guns and fight. In the end, it could only end with verbal cannons. However, Huang Xiaoming, who followed Lian Haolong out, took this opportunity to look at his opponent in this world. Unexpectedly, 2 of the opponents had dealt with Xiaoming before. The leader of the other party was the D-level reincarnationist Tianxiaoyagong that Xiaoming had seen in the underworld. However, in this world, his various attributes would also be reduced to the same level as Xiaoming. Xiaoming would never have thought of another person he knew. That was a player that Xiaoming met when he took the Hunter exam in the Magic Planet game, Hunter x Hunter Secret Realm. He claimed to be a player from the Fengguaxia Guild, nicknamed Deepwater Abyss. At that time, he passed the Hunter exam with Xiaoming's help, and now he seems to have some telekinesis. It seems that he has indeed learned a lot in the Hunter Secret Realm. It was worth it for Xiaoming to help him. Since they are in the same team, and Deepwater Abyss is a player from the Fengguaxia Guild, could it be that Tianxiaoyagong is also from the same game guild? They are both a game guild and a team of reincarnationists. They are really lucky. We know that the original intention of the New Han Kingdom to host the development of the Magic Planet game is to reserve backup talents for reincarnationists. The secret realm of the Magic Planet and the various worlds of the reincarnation space have a lot in common. They can assist each other. This Deepwater Abyss is obviously a beneficiary. He became a hunter in the secret realm of Hunter x Hunter, and naturally began to learn telekinesis with the help of the Hunter Association. After a little achievement, he was selected by the reincarnation space to become a reincarnationist. With the strength of a reincarnationist, he can play games better. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 802. Although both parties knew that this was a confrontation mission, there were no sparks between Xiaoming and Tianxiaoyagong. To be honest, everyone is a frequent visitor to the reincarnation space. They are well informed and understand the rules in all aspects. Even in a confrontational mission world, both sides have the opportunity to complete their missions at the same time. It's not necessarily a life or death relationship. What's more, in the world of Underworld, which is the world where the two met for the first time, Tianxiaoyagong is well aware of the power of this leader. The image of a large number of undead appearing in the subway station to participate in the battle is still fresh in his memory. If this world didn't allow the use of magic, he would have given up. There is no need to fight against the undead army. Even if the world this time provides convenience to the world and the leader cannot summon the undead, there will always be a day to meet in the future. The world is a public servant and I don't want to offend the leader to death just for a mission. What's more, the attitude of the top family, the Li family, needs to be considered. He asked himself, Feng Guoxiya Guild could not offend the leader no matter what. So he stood among the police and blinked deliberately at Xiaoming. Xiaoming didn't understand what he meant by blinking, but it was already clear that the other party had no ill intentions. After thinking about it, Huang Xiaoming whispered in Lian Haolang's ear, "Brother, I will follow you secretly to see what these gangsters are playing." Lian Haolang was very satisfied with the enthusiasm of this newly recruited younger brother, nodded and said, "Go ahead, be careful, and if that doesn't work, leave. I guess they are really just here to eat." Yes, Huang Xiaoming answered simply and said no more. First, he followed everyone back to the banquet hall. After waiting for a while, seeing that no one was paying attention to him, he said toilet to his companions and walked out calmly. After going down one floor, more than 10 meters away, I saw Tianxia Weigong and two people wandering and chatting in the corridor. The abyss is also among them. Seeing Xiaoming appear, Weigong winked again and entered a private room next to him. Xiaoming nodded slightly, but did not go directly. He went down 2 floors first, went out to buy a pack of cigarettes, took another staircase and returned, and then entered the private room. As soon as he entered the house, he was pulled into a bear hug by the Lord of the World, and his back was slapped twice. "Ha ha ha, brother leader, long time no see. I miss you so much. Ha ha ha." Then he introduced Xiaoming to his 2 subordinates without any trace of outsiders. "Look, this is the leader I often mention to you. Even though he looks ordinary, his strength is definitely this. Oh, by the way, he is called Explorer in the game." While talking about praising Xiaoming, he also gave a thumbs up. It can be said to be highly respected. "Don't take it seriously, don't know how to call it," Xiaoming pretended to be humble. "In my heart, I disagree with the adjective very ordinary. Do I really look that ordinary? It shouldn't be. I'm at the top of the lower mountain. It's a pleasure to meet you. I often hear the president and brother Shen Shui mention you. My ears are calloused. I finally met my true self today. It's better to meet him than to be famous. Your Excellency is indeed extraordinary. It turns out that this unknown person is called the top of the mountain. Is this name a buy one get one free deal with Abyss? Or is it a group purchase? It can be seen from the way of naming that the relationship between the two should be very good. Leader, it was all thanks to you last time that I had the opportunity to become a hunter and learn telekinesis. You are my benefactor. Deepwater Abyss is really full of gratitude to Xiaoming. Thank you very much. If he hadn't entered through telepathy, he wouldn't have been selected by the reincarnation space. You're welcome. I don't dare to be a benefactor or anything like that. Being able to learn telekinesis is all due to your own efforts. This last sentence is not a compliment. Being able to learn telekinesis in such a short period of time shows that Abyssal Realm does have potential. Mr. Leader, for the sake of the Li family, how about we fight against the mission and try our best to strive for peaceful coexistence? Worried that Xiaoming would not agree, Tian Xiaoigong added, "Don't worry, if there is a conflict in the tasks, we, Feng Guoxiyu, will definitely retreat. By the way, you may not know, I am the president of Feng Guoxiyu." That's right. If we all cooperate, my benefactor, your mission can be completed better. With me here, you can rest assured. Abyss also added fuel to the fire. He spoke a little too enthusiastically. The top of the mountain couldn't help but glance at him. That means reinforce yourself a little. It's okay if you want to repay the favor, but you can't be considered a traitor. Haha, Xiaoming also smiled, let's just deal fairly. Don't accommodate us too much. A win-win situation is the way to get along in the long run. Yeah, what my benefactor said makes sense. Before the diligent attitude of Deepwater Abyss had passed, he was so angry that he grabbed a handful of peanuts from the top of the mountain and stuffed them into his mouth. Ha ha ha, the leader is really a happy person, Tian Xiaoweigong immediately said frankly. Our main mission 1 is for us to join the police station and become trainee detectives. This mission has been completed. Pediatrics. Main mission 2 requires us to capture a loyal and trustworthy Big Brother level plot character, regardless of life or death. This thing seems to be difficult to handle. As soon as he heard this, Xiao Ming understood. This was clearly to let Ming Jing's team act as eyes and ears within the gang and betray a Big Brother to the Feng Guoxiya Guild. These people who are the Big Brothers of Zhang Xinyi have committed murder, arson, robbery, drug trafficking, casinos, horse stables, almost every one of them is full of evil. Xiaoming has no psychological barriers to selling them. He immediately said that he would definitely help. At the same time, he also told his main task. The main task of Mingjing Team 2 is to find out the traitors in Zhongxinyi. Tiang Xiaoyagong scratched his head. Does the police have an undercover in Zhongxinyi? I haven't heard of it. Shen Shuazi Yuan seemed to have something to say, but he was still chewing peanuts in his mouth, so he could only hum to his good friend twice. Jace Hanziding understood what he meant, and said after a little thought. In fact, Zhongxinyi also has an undercover in the police. Our people have found the signs. We are verifying. When we have clear news, we will discuss how to use this news together. It turns out that there is such a thing. It is too easy for a wealthy gang like Zhongxinyi to buy a few undercovers in the police. Xiaoming didn't find it strange. Okay, let's go back and collect intelligence. Our team has followed a few Big Brothers. Let's see who is easier to catch. The 4 stood up and were about to leave. At this moment, a sense of danger suddenly rushed into my heart. Really? I want to see who catches who. Before he finished speaking, the door of the room opened and a dazzling cold light shone in. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 803. Xiaoming's sight was occupied by the sudden cold light, and he couldn't see anything clearly for a while. But he reacted quickly, and with his right hand raised, the peanuts he had just held in his hand were hit out by Xiaoming with the technique of raining flowers. At the same time, he kicked the attacking object with his left foot, and his body turned sideways. Rolled to the side. Looking closely, it was not someone else who attacked him, but Luo Tianhong, a Big Brother of Zhongxinyi who held a long sword all day. He had always wanted to fight with Xiaoming's 3 clones, so he paid close attention to Xiaoming and others. When Huang Xiaoming left, he and Lian Haolong noticed it. However, Lian Haolong thought that Huang Xiaoming was fulfilling his previous words and wanted to find out the details of the police. Naturally, he didn't care. Luo Tianhong didn't doubt it. He just wanted to come out to communicate with Xiaoming and arrange a time to fight. Unexpectedly, he saw Xiaoming and a few trainee policemen flirting with each other. It's a bit interesting. So he did not continue to follow Xiaoming, but opened a room next to Tiang Xiaoyagong's room. Zhongxinyi is very powerful, and this club has Zhongxinyi's shares. Luo Tianhong didn't even need to ask for help, he got the key and opened the door by himself. He also removed the soundproofing board and eavesdropped on the conversations of several people through the wall. Many people who can come to this club to consume are rich and powerful. The club doesn't have the courage to install monitoring equipment in the room. Once discovered, it would be like stirring up a hornet's nest. It will inevitably be besieged by everyone. So they just did some tricks on the building materials. The room was not as soundproof as planned. Usually, it depends on some large furniture with soundproofing boards to enhance the soundproofing effect. It is impossible for people to detect. If there is a need to eavesdrop, just temporarily remove the soundproofing board and reinstall it after the task is completed, without anyone noticing. Luo Tianhong took advantage of this convenient condition and hid next door, waiting for the rabbit. Xiaoming's anti-tracking tactics, pretending to go downstairs, buy cigarettes, and go upstairs by changing stairs, were all useless. Luo Tianhong heard everything he said to Tianxiaogang. As a character in the plot, Luo Tianhong didn't care about some of the words involving the reincarnation space under the influence of the space. However, it was a foregone conclusion that this newcomer had colluded with the police. Luo Tianhong felt sorry, but also secretly happy. It's more exciting to fight with a master or fight to the death. Now he finally has a reason to fight for his life. In other words, he is skilled and bold. If it were another big brother, he would definitely notify him first, pull a group of younger brothers, and take down this group of people. But Luo Tianhong was confident that he was invincible, and at the same time he wanted to put some pressure on himself. Without telling anyone, he turned to the door and attacked. If it was Xiaoming in normal state, how could he be attacked at such a close distance? Or because of the sudden loss of various supernatural powers, Xiaoming was very uncomfortable with the current state. He was almost killed by Luo Tianhong. Luo Tianhong's long sword was kicked up by Xiaoming's left foot, and he shook it, and the long sword cut the throat of a person who was closer to the side. Deep Water Abyss died. Luo Tianhong took back the long sword and blocked the peanuts shot by Xiaoming. Because there were too many, he couldn't block them all. However, the peanuts were round and bulging, and they didn't have much killing power. Xiaoming made a hasty move again, hitting Tianhong, basically not breaking his defense, but just hurting him a little. In a flash, Deep Water Abyss was dead. Tianxiaogang and Jace Han's hiding reacted and took out their pistols together. At the same time, Huang Xiaoming, who was hiding on the side, also took out a few darts from his arms. Usually, the three Xiaomings always carry a lot of darts and stones. Of course, darts are more useful at this time. In the eyes of the enemy, the two pistols were a greater threat. Luo Tianhong flew up and slashed with a sword. Tianxiaogang and Jace Han's hiding didn't have time to dodge, their wrists were cut, and the pistols fell to the ground. Tianhong was about to continue chasing and finish off the two men first. Xiaoming's flying knife had already been used. This time he was prepared, the power and accuracy were very different, and if he was hit, he would be seriously injured. Luo Tianhong's position at this time was deliberately chosen by him, just between Xiaoming and Tianxiaogang. If Xiaoming shot a hidden weapon, he would have to take the risk of hitting friendly forces. I hope this will make Xiaoming afraid to use his weapon. Unexpectedly, Xiaoming didn't care about hurting his accomplices at all, and the flying knife still shot out with a strong wind. He didn't hold back at all. Tianhong was also shocked. He didn't expect that the leader's right guard was so cruel that he didn't even hesitate to hurt his own people. He tried his best to dodge, but was still hit hard on the right arm by two darts, which hurt him deeply and almost made his sword slip out of his hand. Tianxiaogang fell to the ground with a limp. It turned out that 3 of the darts that Luo Tianhong dodged hit Tianxiaoyagang's chest and abdomen. Tianxiaogang was more seriously injured than Luo Tianhong. Only Jace Han's hiding was lucky and was not injured. This surprised Luo Tianhong. Several reincarnationists were accustomed to it. This kind of play is very natural in the reincarnation space. Everyone has a resurrection stone and can be resurrected. If you can drag a master down with you when you die once, it is actually a very cost-effective deal. Several reincarnationists did not make a fuss. Xiaoming waved his hands repeatedly to kill Luo Tianhong. Dozens of flying knives shot at Luo Tianhong continuously. Tianhong remained calm in the face of danger. His right hand was weak, so he handed the sword to his left hand and danced with the sword with his left hand. He managed to block more than a dozen darts. With a muffled bang, blood gushed out of Luo Tianhong's heart. It turned out that he was shot. It was too embarrassing for a martial artist to be shot to death by a pistol. He looked at Jace Hanziding unwillingly. It was this man who took out the second pistol at the fastest speed and used the cushion of the seat to silence it. He shot Luo Tianhong to death with one shot. It was not difficult to hit the heart at close range. It was just rare that Jace Hanziding was so decisive. He didn't even mean to leave a living person, and chose to kill directly. Jace Hanziding actually had no choice. Luo Tianhong's martial arts were too high, and his weapon was sharp. When holding a long sword, he was simply a killing god. Although several people were not inferior to Luo Tianhong in physical fitness, their actual combat skills were too far behind. One person died and two were injured in one encounter. If the fight goes on normally, I'm afraid no one will survive. Even if he has the upper hand, no one can stop Luo Tianhong from running away. Luo Tianhong heard the conversation between several people, and it is very dangerous to capture him alive. Even if he is locked up in the police station, the lawyer must be allowed to meet him. By then, the secret between the leader and Feng Guoxiu will be exposed, so Luo Tianhong must die. Jace Hanziding's mind is really fast. Killing directly is the safest way. It's hard for him to think of using a mat to silence the sound in such a hurry. Now this situation, how to deal with it? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 804. A quarter of an hour later, more than 100 flying tigers and police officers rushed into the club and sealed off the floor where Luo Tianhong died in the battle. All personnel were asked to leave the club. Even Haolong's banquet had to be interrupted. Zhong Xinyi was shocked by this sudden scene, and Lian Haolong almost thought that the Hong Kong police were going to take action against him. Who knew that it was just a polite eviction, not just for them, all the idlers must leave the club immediately. Lian Haolong had no choice but to take people away. But soon he received the news from his informant. 2 members of the Zhongxinyi club attacked police officers in the club and killed 2 trainee police officers. They were then shot dead on the spot by other police officers. One of them is Luo Tianhong, and the other is the right guard, Huang Xiaoming, who just followed his leader today. If it weren't for the help of space to cover it up, just the name of the reincarnator would reveal too much information. Now, the reincarnators can still have some ideas after hearing these strange names. The characters in the plot will never get to the bottom of it. Based on some details passed back by insiders, Lian Haolong immediately made up several different versions of the scene. After a comprehensive analysis, in his opinion the most likely scenario is this. The leader's right bodyguard, Huang Xiaoming, secretly followed a police officer, but was discovered by the police officer. It wasn't a big deal in the first place, and it was easy to get over by just making a haha. But maybe the right guard wanted to show off too much, or maybe he did something bad and was caught. As a result, this kid just came to power, and he was so arrogant that he started fighting with others, one against many. Then Luo Tianhong happened to see him. Tianhong became even more angry. When he saw the police beating one of his own, he drew his sword to help without saying a word. He showed no mercy and killed 2 policemen by mistake. As a result, other police officers had no choice but to shoot the 2 men to death with random shots. The details may vary, but this is roughly the process. As for the fact that the leader's right guard was a spy, he had never even thought about it. If he was really an undercover agent, he shouldn't have been beaten to death. And it shouldn't be used to catch Luo Tianhong. In the club, Luo Tianhong is not known for his brains. He is basically a desperate man. It is useless to catch him. There is still some value in catching others. The real situation is, of course, that the reincarnators jointly staged this drama. Because there was a mole in the police force, Huang Xiaoming had to die for this reason. Make the scene look like he was shot to death indiscriminately. Huang Xiaoming, the world is for one, and deep water abyss are resurrected and reunited elsewhere. Pay special attention to the request for space, and leave the bodies of several people behind for the police to report. The death of these few people is a definite fact. The rest of the details can be made up at the top of the mountain. It's completely normal for a trainee police officer to fight with the young and dangerous boy who just took over. It's just that dead people are a bit much. That's also because Luo Tianhong, the god of death, ended up joining the battle. Otherwise, these people would have had bruises on their noses and faces, or 2 broken ribs. 4 corpses were placed there, and Liao Zhaizhong had to believe them even if he didn't believe them. As for how he wants to end it, that is a matter between him and the top brass of the police department. One day later, the detailed information was conveyed to Zhang Xinyi through Lei Miajin, and now everyone believed it. Neither the police nor the criminals were satisfied with this result. In the eyes of many people, the Hong Kong police are making a lot of money, which is equivalent to playing chess and exchanging pieces. The lives of 2 trainee police officers replaced a famous elder brother and an unknown younger brother of Zhang Xinyi. 2 soldiers exchanged a rook and a pawn, which was a good deal. But Liao Zhaizhong didn't think so. He is a senior inspector who takes good care of his subordinates. Although these 2 new trainee police officers had actually been with him for less than 24 hours. However, Liao Zhaizhong still felt very sad about their untimely death. These are all good prospects for the future of the police. Why would you trade 1 life with a criminal? Even exchanging 1 life for 10 is not worth it. Human life is not for trading. Just as Liao Zhaizhong deplored his subordinates, the boss Lian Haolong also felt the same regret. Luo Tianhong doesn't have much insight. Although he can't help much in terms of management, he is definitely a good hand in charging into battle. It was such a shame to die together with 2 little policemen. The leader's right guard is not famous at all. Lian Haolong could tell that this man's kung fu must be top-notch. Under his own training, he might be able to surpass Luo Tianhong in the future. It would be a real pity to die like this. And the most troublesome thing is that everyone in the world knows that 2 soldiers were killed by the police, and 1 car and 1 soldier were killed by Zhang Xinyi. This is a huge loss of face. If he doesn't get it back, Zhang Xinyi will no longer have a foothold in the world. Besides, Luo Tianhong must be avenged. At present, the only target that can be used to seek revenge is the little policeman called the Top of the Mountain. The name is quite impressive. It just depends on whether he has the ability to keep this name. Of course, now is not the best time. The Top of the Mountain is being valued and commended by the police department for killing Luo Tianhong. Rewards will come soon. To get rid of him at this time would be a slap in the face of the Hong Kong police. It will inevitably lead to crazy retaliation from the police. The gain outweighs the loss. Let him stabilize for a period of time, wait until the limelight has passed, and then treat him as an accidental death. For this reason, Lian Haolong also specifically asked other members of Mingjing's team not to assassinate the Top of the Mountain at this time just for the sake of superiority. If they cause big trouble for the club, the boss will never let them go. The members of Mingjing team were laughing so hard that their bellies burst, but they had to pretend to be heartbroken. In fact, as long as they saw that Green Xiaoming and Silver Xiaoming were safe and sound, they knew that Huang Xiaoming was fine. Xiaoming took this opportunity to test something that Xiaoming had wanted to know for a long time. In the reincarnation space, what would happen if only 1 body died? The results showed that when Huang Xiaoming died, his body was dead, but Huang Xiaoming's soul honestly returned to Silver Xiaoming and did not die at all. When resurrected, only 1 body of Huang Xiaoming was resurrected, and it actually required a complete resurrection stone. If all 3 bodies died, wouldn't it cost 3 resurrection stones to resurrect once? Maybe even more. The reincarnation space is really too dark. In fact, the price is not calculated like this. Xiaoming already has 3 bodies, and it is not excessive to consume 3 resurrection stones to resurrect all of them. What's more, Xiaoming's physical strength is much stronger than most reincarnations, and the energy consumed for resurrection in the reincarnation space is actually more. Xiaoming is taking advantage of the situation. After the reincarnation is resurrected, the person can decide how to deal with the body. Pretending to be dead is also a common way of dealing with it, like Tianxiaoyagong. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 805. With a muffled pop, Lian Haolong's right fist hit the fat guardian's chest with a black tiger's heart-piercing blow. Zhang Wen crossed his palms and blocked the punch. However, he could not stop Lian Haolong's huge force, and his body stepped back several steps before he could stand firmly. At this time, Lian Haolong blocked with his arms to the left and right, blocking the 2 legs that were kicking from both sides. This was the attack of Zhao Zhuzhu and Zhang Ma. Before Zhang Ma landed, he raised his foot and kicked Zhang Ma's knee. If he kicked it hard, I'm afraid it would be broken. However, Zhang Ma remained calm in the face of danger, supported himself on the ground with one hand, moved his body sideways, and dodged this move. Zhao Zhuzhu seized the opportunity, put the index finger and middle finger of his right hand together, and stabbed Lian Haolong quickly, using swordsmanship. Unfortunately, he did not hold a sword. After all, it was a little short, and Lian Haolong dodged it as soon as he turned his body, and then turned around and hit Zhao Zhuzhu's face with his left elbow. At this time, Zhang Wen had returned and kicked Lian Haolong forward 2 steps, and his elbow naturally missed. Kang Ma saw the opportunity and kicked out with his right leg. Lian Haolong was caught in a dilemma. After 3 moves, Zhang Wen's heavy punch and Zhao Zhuzhu's sword finger rushed to his vitals again. Lian Haolong took advantage of Kang Ma's body to cover and turned a small circle to avoid the attack of the 2. At the same time, his fist went straight to Kang Ma. Kang Ma saw that he had blocked his companion's attack route, and he actually lay down on the ground and used the ground punch. He lowered his body, made way for the upper 3 roots, and attacked Lian Haolong's lower body with his feet. Zhang Wen and Zhao Zhuzhu attacked Lian Haolong's upper 3 roots from the left and right. Lian Haolong retreated quickly when he saw that the situation was not good. Zhang Wen and Zhao Zhuzhu stepped over Kang Ma and chased him from the left and right at the same time. Zhao Zhuzhu used swordsmanship and would not fight Lian Haolong's fists head-on. Lian Haolong had no choice but to throw a few heavy punches. He fought Zhang Wen several times and knocked him back 2 steps. Then he turned to deal with Zhao Zhuzhu's exquisite sword finger. Brother Wen's offensive was frustrated, and his blood was surging. He needed to adjust his breath for 2 or 3 seconds. Zhang Ma had already rushed past him and swept him with a whip kick. Lian Haolong's hands just separated Zhao Zhuzhu's swords, and he had no time to defend. He had to raise his left calf and take Zhang Ma's whip kick. Zhang Ma used 80% of his strength in this kick, and Lian Haolong was unstable and retreated several steps. He waved his hand to signal to stop. The 3 of them did not pursue, and bowed their heads and saluted. Big Brother V587. We admire you. Lian Haolong smiled bitterly. It was not because he was at a disadvantage, but because he felt that their words were weird and did not have the energy of the underworld. Luo Tianhong was a rare warrior among the big brothers, and Lian Haolong admired him very much. There is a taste of heroes cherishing each other. Even Lian Haolong knew that one day Luo Tianhong would challenge him in martial arts. At present, the opponent is just gathering strength and waiting for an opportunity. Lian Haolong also hopes to have a good fight with him. Unexpectedly, such a master fell in a muddle. He was very depressed. These days, he has been training the kung fu of several people in the Mingjing team. He is selecting good seedlings who can take over Luo Tianhong's class. His subordinates are all a bunch of arrogant soldiers and generals. The elder brother with poor kung fu can't subdue these people at all. It's impossible for him, the boss, to lead that group of people in person. He had to select from the newcomers. In terms of physical fitness and physical attributes, everyone in the Mingjing team is actually better than Lian Haolang. But in a real fight, 3 against 1 is not an opponent. After fighting for several days and getting used to it, he has a slight advantage. 1-on-1 is still a sure loss. Zhang Wen and his companions are all high-level reincarnations. They are not used to this kind of low-level battle. Only Xiao Ming can adapt to this kind of battle mode because he has been playing in the martial arts planet for a long time. But he did not play. Although in this world, the true qi of Chang Shengju has also been suppressed to a great extent. After all, it has not completely disappeared. If Nanziren's true qi was the Yangtze River before, now there is finally a shallow pond. In this world, the power of this true qi should not be underestimated. 3 Xiaomings, 3 kinds of Chang Shengju, can also complement and promote each other. Since the beginning of this world, Xiaoming's Chang Shengju has been in continuous operation. Although the amount of true qi is still small, it can be replenished continuously, so it is not afraid of a protracted war. This is also the biggest advantage of Chang Shengju. If Lian Haolang fights with any Xiaoming, he can have the upper hand in the early stage. If he is ruthless enough, he can kill him. After 10 minutes, there will be a stalemate. After more than half an hour, it will be time for Xiaoming to counterattack. However, Lian Haolang did not fight with any of the Xiaomings. Huang Xiaoming, who was assigned to be his bodyguard, had died together with Luo Tianhong. Green Xiaoming was protecting his wife's sister Susu, and Silver Xiaoming was protecting his son. Lian Haolang could not transfer them to fight with him. So he could only choose the new big brother from Zhangwen, Zhao Zhizhu, Kangma, Kraken, and Xiajia. Lian Haolang soon found that Kraken and Xiajia had no kung fu at all, and could only use their bodies to fight with others, which was too stupid. Zhangwen, Zhao Zhizhu, and Kangma had a good kung fu foundation. So he took the initiative to train these 3 people 1v3. After several days of continuous competition, the 3 of them finally went from being at a disadvantage to gradually equalizing, and now they can have a slight advantage. Kung Fu to this level is almost enough. I am afraid there are not many masters like Luo Tianhong in Hong Kong. Lian Haolang winked at one of his men, and the man hurried out. After a while, he brought back a long sword. Isn't this the sword that belonged to Luo Tianhong? It should be in the evidence room of the police station. How did it end up in Lian Haolang's hands? Actually, it's very simple. This sword is Luo Tianhong's relic. Lian Haolang sent someone to steal it back. What Zhong Xinyi wanted to do most was to kill Gao Shanji Dian and avenge Luo Tianhong. But the time has not come yet, and Gao Shanji Dian cannot move. So it's okay to take back Luo Tianhong's relic. The Hong Kong police have already gained the upper hand, so naturally they don't want to force Lian Haolang at this time. So they relaxed their control and let Lian Haolang's people steal the sword back. Lian Haolang looked carefully at Zhang Wen and the other 3. He seemed to be hesitating while holding the long sword. After thinking for a long time, he said, "Fat Guardian, you continue to follow me, Zhao Zhizhu, my brother needs your care." After that, he pushed his hands and the long sword flew to Zhang Ma, who immediately caught it in his hand. He looked at Lian Haolang with a questioning look. "Zhang Ma, Tianhong Hall will be yours in the future, show us some achievements." Yes, Zhang Ma bowed and accepted the order. He actually let a new person be the head of the hall. Lian Haolang really has some courage. His younger brother Lian Hedong seemed to have objections and wanted to speak. Lian Haolang had expected it and stopped him with his eyes. He said to Zhang Ma, "Remember, scare them if they don't listen, beat them if you can't scare them, and kill them if they don't obey. Understood?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 806. Arkang Ma was once a powerful demon in the demon world and had a lot of power. He was excellent in both intelligence and martial arts. It was a waste of talent for him to be a mere hall master for Zhong Xinyi. Although he was slightly inferior to the deceased Luo Tianhong in martial arts, he had no problem in subduing these subordinates. Kang Ma was even more capable in intelligence, far surpassing Luo Tianhong, who never used his brain. The difference between him and Luo Tianhong in dealing with things can be seen from one thing. Lian Haolong had a good friend in the underworld called his uncle. On the day of his son's full moon banquet, his uncle also came. But his uncle's power was already declining. Now his territory in San Po Kong was taken away by Niu Jingwei, a subordinate of another big gang Huafu. Lian Haolong used this matter as a test for Kang Ma, the new hall master, to see how capable he was. In the original book, this matter was given to Luo Tianhong. Luo Tianhong was also simple. He took people to negotiate. When they disagreed, he cut off one of Niu Jinggui's hands and it was done. Zhang Ma certainly would not play this straightforward. 2 days later, Zhang Ma went there with his uncle. At this time, Niu Jingui was no longer here. Yesterday, he was caught red-handed by the Hong Kong police for several crimes such as wounding. It is estimated that he will never get out of this life. Several of his capable men were arrested, several were shot dead in the gunfight with the police, and several others were seriously injured and hospitalized. Even if they were cured, they would still have to go to jail. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. The remaining 2 or 3 kittens are naturally not a big deal. Zhang Ma and his uncle went directly to take back the territory. They also took advantage of the situation to grab a few of Niu Jinggui's original territory. The power of his uncle actually recovered a bit of vitality. Similarly, Zhang Ma's hall also gained a lot. In addition to handing over a part of the society, his own people can also get a lot. Zhang Ma was not greedy at all. He used the money he got to reward his subordinates who did a good job. This matter was done beautifully. Zhong Xinyi praised Zhang Ma from top to bottom. Envy, jealousy, and hatred were inevitable. However, Zhang Ma's pretty face, which looked like a girl, was too deceptive. Even if you know what he did, looking at this face, you still think he is a good person, and crimes should be misunderstandings. As expected, appearance is justice. This matter was done so beautifully. In fact, it was the result of the cooperation between the Mingjing team and the Feng Guoxiyu team. Since Huang Xiaoming faked his death a few days ago, he hid in a high-end hotel with Tiang Xiaoyagong and Shen Shuazi Yuan. The 3 of them stayed at home and coordinated the cooperation between the 2 sides. It was the result of Feng Guoxiyu's help to capture Niu Jingui with the help of the police. Due to the accidental killing of Luo Tianhong, the Feng Guoxiyu team successfully completed the main task too. 2 days later, they found out that Zhong Xinyi's inner ghost in the police force was police officer Lei Miajin. Then, a batch of goods smuggled by Zhong Xinyi was seized by the police when it landed due to the tip-off of another gang leader Huafu. Originally, Awu would be caught by the police. However, this time, there were 2 good hands, Kraken and Xiajia. They pulled Awu into the sea, and with their strong physical strength, they dragged Awu far to a safe place before landing. Although the police confiscated the goods, they did not catch even one of the senior executives of Zhong Xinyi. Awu was soaked, his hair was disheveled, and he took Kraken and Xiajia back to his home in a very embarrassed manner. Who knew that the house leaked and it rained all night, and ran into Awu's wife and a gangster named Ah Cheng. Originally, when they came back, Ah Cheng hid very skillfully, and Awu was not a very smart guy, and he was almost fooled by his wife. But this time, Kraken and Xiajia escorted Awu back together. How sensitive they were, they heard the breathing of an extra person at once. So Ah Ching was pulled out and beaten. In fact, this guy is quite skilled. But the timing is not right now. He was caught and his momentum was weak. In addition, he was not in good condition at the moment, so it was not convenient for him to fight. Awu and the other two had just fought a big battle and were extremely nervous. As a result, Ah Ching was beaten up by them and was unconscious. After escaping death today, Awu suspected that his wife had tipped off the police and wanted to use the police to get rid of him. This caused the eldest brother to lose a large number of goods. Several brothers died, and the resettlement fee was a large sum of money. There was no way to hide it, so the two were immediately arrested and handed over to the eldest brother Lien Haolong for disposal. These two were not powerful people who could not be defeated. After being tortured by several elder brothers, they naturally confessed everything. There were only problems with the two of them. The smuggling and informing had nothing to do with them. Of course, in the eyes of the senior management of Zhongxinyi, it might also be that these two people were stubborn in order to get rid of the crime. They could not help but be suspicious of them. In the end, there was no other possibility. Both of them were put into sacks and sank to the bottom of the sea. However, during the interrogation, Kang Ma noticed something unusual. The eldest brother named Afa, who was said to be rich and powerful, looked a little strange. During the interrogation, there seemed to be a suspicion that he wanted to force the crime on the two of them. Kang Ma remained calm on the surface and turned around to inform Xiaoming of this discovery. So Huang Xiaoming, who had faked his death and hid outside, took Tianxia Yagong and Shen Shuazi Yuan, put on makeup and drove a car to quietly follow Afa. My benefactor, please tell me again, what is the trick of entanglement? I have never been able to do it well before. Deep water abyss can't change the title of benefactor. Once a person is exposed to the mystery and breadth of the reincarnation space, he probably can't give it up. And the key person who made him a reincarnationist, this person will probably never forget it for the rest of his life. Although this is neither life-saving nor emergency, Deep Water Abyss feels that this is more important than life-saving or emergency. The three of them have been together for the past few days. In addition to thanking him whenever he has something to do, Deep Water Abyss also took the initiative to ask the leader for the tricks of telekinesis. Tianxia Weigong is good to his subordinates. He immediately expressed his willingness to pay the tuition. This also shows that none of them understand telekinesis. Otherwise, wouldn't it be better for their own people to teach? You can also get an internal employee price. But what good things can a group of reincarnationists who are not even sea level have as tuition? Not to mention, there is actually something. The most valuable thing for them is their experience in the reincarnation space. Although Deep Water Abyss has just become a reincarnationist, Tianxia Weigong is an old bird in the reincarnation space. Although his strength is stuck at D level and can never be upgraded, he has a lot of experience and has seen enough reincarnation worlds. Xiaoming has a lot to learn. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 807. These days, Xiaoming teaches Shen Shui Zhiyuan the common sense of telekinesis during the day, and Tianxia Weigong tells Xiaoming stories from his past at night. Unfortunately, telekinesis cannot be tested in this world. Shen Shui Zhiyuan can only keep it in mind and wait until this reincarnation world ends. Although his piety is a bit cunning and deliberately cute, it is not bad after all. Xiaoming will not be disgusted. Shen Shui Zhiyuan is just a beginner in telekinesis. He feels enlightened when he suddenly meets a famous teacher. In fact, what Xiaoming taught him were just some tips for the initial stage of telekinesis. As for the practice method of Xinyuan Liu, Shen Shui Zhiyuan does not have the conditions for practice at his level. However, this has made Shen Shui Zhiyuan feel like he has found a treasure. Whenever he has free time, he will chase Xiaoming for advice. It is good to learn one more sentence. SHH, shui shui, you are too noisy. Pay attention to the business, we are still following people. Tian Xiaowei Gong couldn't stand it anymore and scolded in a low voice. In his heart, he was also afraid that the leader would be annoyed by his questions, which would be counterproductive. Doesn't the water flow slowly? It's okay. We are so far away and Afa doesn't know us. Shen Shui Jiyuan argued unwillingly. Don't underestimate these gangsters. He may not have noticed our appearance in the club. It's better to be careful. Brother Tianxia is right. Even if Brother Fa didn't notice you, maybe his men saw you. We'd better be cautious. Yes, the leader is right. Shen Shui Jiyuan habitually agreed with Xiaoming. Tianxia is speechless. Driving silently, he followed Afa and his group to a golf course from a distance. Xiaoming and others wondered, the underworld plays golf? It seems that the style is not right. The three got off the car, not daring to go through the main gate, and found a gap from the outside to sneak in. Fortunately, the golf course was relatively empty, and they soon found the target person. At this time, Afa was chatting and laughing with Lian Haolang's wife Sister Susu. This is even more strange. Xiao Jing'er and Lu Xiaoming, as Susu's younger brothers, didn't know that she had sneaked out. This is obviously a problem. Could it be that the two of them had an affair? That's not right. If they had an affair, they should have gone to the hotel. Why did they come here to play ball? Also because of the open space, Tianxia Weigang and Shen Shui Ziwen could not continue after sneaking to a certain distance. But at this distance, it was impossible to hear what they were saying. Fortunately, Xiaoming is different from ordinary people. In the field where he is not discovered, Xiaoming has a super talent. When he has supernatural energy, this will be reflected in his invisible uniform that is difficult to be discovered. Now that supernatural energy is banned, this talent can still play a role imperceptibly. Xiaoming crawled on the ground and approached slowly and quietly. Be very careful not to alarm Afa and Susu. Tianxia Weigang and Shen Shui Ziwen, who fell behind, were all worried for him. But they were also scratching their heads. The two of them thought the leader was very conspicuous, but for some reason, Afa and Sister Susu just ignored him. How is it? Have you thought it through? Sister Susu asked worriedly. There is no choice at all. Afa's words seemed to indicate that he had made up his mind. I know the company's accounts best, and I can get 100 million or 200 million at any time. Susu is Lian Haolang's wife and the person who is fully responsible for the society's finances. This is said with confidence. You want us to pay? Shouldn't the fourth uncle's family pay it? Afa had a question. Xiaoming didn't understand what he heard and was also confused. If the fourth uncle's family wants to get 100 million in cash, they must go to the bank to get it. Not to mention 100 million, even if it's 10 million in cash, the bank will immediately notify the police. Speaking of this, Susu sneered, we don't have much in the underworld, but we have the most cash. We don't accept cards when selling powder, and no one gives checks in the horse shed, right? After hearing this, Afa took a few steps in thought, and finally mustered up the courage to say, let's die. Seeing Afa's determination, Susu also breathed a sigh of relief. Have you thought about what to do? I have thought it through very clearly, in Hong Kong. Listening to the two people studying the plan in detail, Xiaoming finally figured out what they wanted to do. Fourth uncle, a well-known businessman in Hong Kong, is also the supporter behind Lian Haolang. In terms of funds and connections, it is fourth uncle who helps Zhong Xinyi. It may be a bit too much to say that he is the boss behind Zhong Xinyi, but to say that he is just a major shareholder undoubtedly underestimates his influence. Sister Susu and Afa's plan is to kidnap fourth uncle and extort money. Given fourth uncle's position in Zhong Xinyi, Lian Haolang had to pay the money himself, and Zhang Zhinyi happened to have 100 million in cash. As the saying goes, it's hard to guard against thieves in your own home. The two insiders knew all of Zhang Zhinyi's weaknesses. Their method was the fastest and easiest way to get the money, and it was also the safest way. But this method, tut, was too despicable. Even if it was kidnapping, they had the ability to kidnap those billionaires, but why did they attack their own people? Then again, they were both billionaires at least, so they shouldn't be short of money. Why did they have to do this? Xiaoming really couldn't figure out what this kind of person was thinking. But one thing was finally clear: the traitors of Zhang Zhinyi referred to in the main task 2 were undoubtedly Susu and Afa. The space gave a hint, and the main task 2 was completed. The main task 3 was opened, to assist Lian Haolong in eliminating the traitor. This task was first seen by Xiao Jing'er, and then told to Lu Xiaoming, who was with her. The update of the main task shows that the right way has been found. Back to the hotel, Xiaoming played the secretly recorded recording to Tianxia Weigong and Shen Shui Ziwen to study countermeasures. Recording is necessary. Xiaoming and his team were originally tracking Afa and wanted to catch him for evidence of his crime. The simple recording and video equipment was naturally carried with them, which just came in handy. At the same time, Kang Ma also noticed the changes in the task panel and took the initiative to find Lu Xiaoming to understand the situation. Only Yin Xiaoming was with Lian Haolong's concubine Lisa and her son at this time, basically staying out of the matter. Following other big brothers is fighting and killing, bloody and bloody. Only here is peaceful. Xiao Xiao'er and Xiaoming almost forgot that they were doing the task. Xiao Xiao'er is actually not young, but the dragon race like Chen Wei develops slowly, and his mind is still that of a child. Seeing a child younger than himself, he was curious and liked it. He accompanied him all day and got along very well with Lian Haolong's son. Lisa was a quiet and elegant girl. No one knew why she followed a gangster boss. Even if she was a little vain, it was not wrong. Yin Xiaoming got along well with her. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 808. Xiao Xiao'er held Lian Haolong's son and ran around the room. Xiaoming and Lisa watched from the side, smiling like an ant the whole time. When they first met, Lisa was very worried about this young man named Xiao Xiao'er. He was too unstable. He was not reliable even if he had no bad intentions. Lisa was afraid that he would hurt her child. Xiao Xiao'er was careless and basically did not care about the difference between men and women. Lisa also suspected that he was taking the opportunity to get close to her. However, after a long time, Lisa's maternal intuition made her realize that the young man still had a pure, innocent, and cute boy in his heart. Seeing him, Lisa seemed to see what her own child would look like when he grew up. Her motherly nature was out of control, and she treated Xiao Xiao'er like her own child. Xiao Xiao'er had never encountered such a mother-like role before, and had never had such an experience, and she also enjoyed Lisa's love. However, it was not only Yin Xiaoming and Xiao Xiao'er who came to serve as bodyguards for the mother and son. Lian Haolong sent a total of 8 brothers, both openly and secretly. The intimate behavior between Xiao Xiao'er and Lisa was distorted in their eyes. They thought that this young man was seducing the eldest sister-in-law, and almost caused a conflict. Fortunately, Yin Xiaoming was alert and quickly discovered the thoughts of these people and hypnotized them in time. Let them think that Xiao Xiao'er is actually Lisa's younger brother. Some things are no longer surprising. Even if suppressed by space, Xiaoming's mental power is still several times stronger than that of ordinary people. Hypnotizing a few gangsters is simply a piece of cake, and the lack of sherry naan does not affect the result. With these hypnotized gangsters helping, it will be easier for Xiaoming to do anything he wants. These days, Xiaoming secretly calculated in his heart that even if he had to deal with Zhong Xinyi and Lian Haolong, the mother and son were innocent and should not be implicated. He had to think of a proper way to keep them safe. It's just that I don't know how the plot will develop in the future, and it's not convenient for Xiaoming to take action. Now we have a rough idea. The betrayal of Susu and Fa Ji will inevitably lead to internal fighting. If the police take the opportunity to take action again, Zhong Xin will probably be in trouble. Once Zhong Xin collapses, Lisa and the 1-month-old child will definitely be killed by their enemies. I must take precautions. Speaking of this matter, Xiaoming thinks Lian Haolong is simply a moron. How many gangsters can have a good end? Don't you know what you are like? If you are in the underworld, you will get hurt. Sooner or later, you will pay for your troubles. Lisa, the concubine, gave Lian Haolong a son. What a good opportunity to hide. If it were Xiaoming, he would immediately hide them in the mainland and leave a bloodline for himself. Lian Haolong actually made a big fuss and made everyone in Hong Kong know about it. Xiaoming can understand that he loves his son, but this approach is tantamount to putting his son in the spotlight. When Zhong Xinyi falls and Lian Haolong loses power, this son will be buried with him. The underworld has always been ruthless. Lian Haolong's enemies will never miss such an opportunity. Does he really think that he is invincible and will never die? At this time, Lian Haolong has been so conceited that he has expanded. According to Xiaoming's observation, there are at least several waves of people's spies near Lisa's house. Among them, there are even police spies. Xiaoming is not naive to think that the police sent people to protect the illegitimate son of the underworld boss. There must be some conspiracy. Maybe they will use this mother and son as bargaining chips at any time. And the police arresting them is not called kidnapping hostages, it is called providing protection. So the white road is more cruel than the black road. And there is no place to reason. Xiaoming can't bear to see this mother and son innocently shot, and he really wants to help them. If Zhong Xinyi is about to fall, Xiaoming can hurry up and send them to a safe place. Lisa will also accept such an arrangement. But if Zhong Xinyi can last for a while, even if Xiaoming sends the mother and son away, she will still contact Lian Haolong and be taken back to Hong Kong. Then Xiaoming's efforts will be in vain. So Yin Xiaoming has been waiting for the opportunity, and occasionally persuaded Lisa indirectly. Today, the news that Huang Xiaoming overheard from the golf course gave Xiaoming a possibility to solve all problems. The betrayal of sisters Susu and Afa is the best opportunity. By the way, the main task of Feng Hua Shuiyu Guild is to destroy Zhong Xinyi. Kill or capture the main leaders, Lian Haolong, Susu, Lian Haodong and others. After Xiaoming and Kang Ma, Tian Xiaowei Gong and others discussed carefully, the two sides finalized the strategy and tactics of the final battle. First, the kidnapping must be successful, otherwise the whole thing cannot be launched. Then, the Mingjing team and Feng Hua Shuiyu's people will replace Sister Susu and Afa's people to control the fourth uncle. Although the fourth uncle's hands were not bloody, he knew that Lian Haolong and others were doing all kinds of evil, but he still supported them with money behind the scenes. This sin was not small. Xiaoming didn't care about his life at all, but just kept him in his hands, which made it easy to sow discord between the two sides. Then, give the audio and video recordings to Lian Haolong to let him know that Susu and Afa had teamed up to betray him. At the same time, let Sister Susu and Afa know that they have been exposed. Then the two sides can only fight first. There is no room for easing. Mingjing team and Feng Guoxiya Guild can fish in troubled waters. Secretly deal with the top leaders of Zhong Xinyi. Finally, when both sides are defeated, Feng Guoxiya's people will contact Liao Zhaizhong, and the Hong Kong police will come forward to clean up the mess. Of course, before the fight, I believe that Lian Haolong can be persuaded to arrange for Lisa and her son to escape in advance with this incident as a reason. With Yin Xiaoming and Xiao Xiao following to protect them, there should be no problem. This is the general situation of the plan. Of course, there are still many details that need to be supplemented. There are many emergencies that need to prepare backup plans. Even the backup plan must have several plans. Xiaoming is not good at this kind of complex and meticulous work. Fortunately, there is a good helper like Kangma, and making plans is his forte. The world is for the public, but there is a Wanguku in the Fengguaxia Guild, who plays the role of a military advisor. The whole plan was formulated by Wanguku and Kangma, and the two sides discussed and formulated it remotely with Xiaoming, who is connected by soul. The level of detail is so detailed that Xiaoming is dizzy just looking at it, let alone understanding it. I just felt that I was fighting blindly in the past. If it weren't for my powerful cheat, I would have died hundreds of times when I met an enemy like Kurama. Fortunately, Kurama is now my subordinate. Xiaoming simply waved his hand and handed over the command of Mingjing's team to Kurama. The Fengguaxia Guild had already done this. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 809. Brother Song, how much money can we make by kidnapping this old guy? In a secluded place in the wilderness. In a private house, a gangster looked at his boss expectantly. Don't worry, there are always millions. Humph, brother Fa and sister Susu dare not pay, otherwise I will report it to Lian Hadalang. Let's see how they end it. The man called Brother Song said with a sinister look. It seems that he doesn't take his boss seriously. Let's not criticize him for being disloyal. How many people who can do such a thing are loyal? Offa kidnapping the fourth uncle is an act of betrayal. He doesn't dare to use such a person who is particularly moral. A song, aren't you afraid that brother Fa and sister Susu will kill and silence you? Xiaoming suddenly asked from the dark. What's there to be afraid of? It's not certain who will kill whom. Who are you? A song was originally arrogant, but suddenly realized that something was wrong. The person asking the question was not his own person. As soon as he asked, he saw a fist growing bigger in front of him. Bang, he was hit in the face and immediately lost consciousness. When a song was woken up by a basin of cold water, the 7 or 8 people he had been beaten to the ground. His hands and feet were also tied tightly. A song tried to struggle a few times, but there was no sign of loosening. He sighed in his heart, this is bad. The one who poured water on his head was Shen Shui Zaiwen. The few people squatting or standing around him were Huang Xiaoming, Tianxia Weigang, and Wang Guku. There were only 4 people who beat them all. In fact, Xiaoming didn't attack again after hitting a song, so it can only be counted as 3.5. These little hooligans are not masters like Lian Hadalang and Luo Tianhong, and they are not enough for the reincarnations of love and romance. Tianxia Weigang and Shen Shui Zaiwen both said that they were not satisfied and had not beaten enough. Otherwise, let go of a few and beat them again. Wang Guku ignored the 2 idiots and nodded to Xiaoming, indicating that the interrogation could begin. Xiaoming was the best martial artist and had a little internal force to use. A little input of true energy could make people feel that life was worse than death. With just a little interrogation, these guys told the color of their underwear 20 years ago. Not tough at all. In addition, Lian Hadalang, Lian Hadong, Susu, and others were also surrounded by people from the Mingjing team, and they knew the progress of the matter very well. At this time, Lian Hadalang had sent someone to hand over 100 million in cash to the kidnappers, but in fact it was handed over to the people sent by Offa and Susu. Next, it was time to provoke a war between them. When the police raided the beach drug trafficking, although Awu did not fail to do his job, things always messed up. In addition, he was given a hat of forgiveness by his wife, and Awu always felt that he couldn't raise his head in Zhongxinyi recently. It seemed that everyone looked at him in a wrong way. In fact, this was just his illusion. Lien Hadalong knew that the responsibility was not on him, and it was good for the society to find out the possible traitor in advance. Among the big brothers, Awu was the worst, but also the most low-key. He didn't like to show off, and he wouldn't compete with his family for benefits. His popularity was actually okay. If he was in a company or factory, he might have lived a peaceful life, but it was a pity that he chose the wrong line. In the underworld, having good popularity is useless. For the sake of benefits, others will still betray him. When it was not related to benefits, several big brothers said a few good words for him. I didn't think much of him in the first place, and I couldn't say I despised him more at this time. People like Afa and Susu were originally scheming, so they didn't have the time to discuss Awu's forgiveness. Only Awu himself always felt sorry for the society. These days, he has been very hard-working, and he didn't even go to the nightclub. God rewards hard work, and God won't let the blind sparrow starve to death. Xiaoming secretly sent the audio and video recordings of the golf course to him anonymously. Awu was overjoyed when he saw these things. He could finally atone for his sins. Behind the two traitors, Awu handed these things to the boss Lien Hadalong. At almost the same time, the Fengguoxiyu team also revealed similar news to Lamiajan. Because of her gambling addiction, she owed a huge debt. After a while, she was controlled by Zhong Xinyi and became their spy inside the police station. After getting such important news, she immediately reported to her contact Lien Hadong. For this, she not only got a lot of money, but also was rewarded by Lien Hadong with his body. It's too late to regret. Lamiajan can't turn back. How she wished she hadn't been addicted to gambling. She wouldn't have fallen to this point today. Xiaoming neither sympathized with nor hated Lamiajan. So he wouldn't help her, nor would he add insult to injury. The two sides sent news that could prove each other. Lien Hadalong has confirmed the authenticity of the betrayal. So he arranged a trap, first gathering the two of them together, saying that they were going to have a meeting. Then he asked to meet Susu and Afa alone, and not to let them bring their subordinates. He prepared a hangmen banquet to take them down directly. Before that, Xiaoming had secretly sent them an anonymous letter, telling them what had been exposed. This kind of thing does not require any evidence. The two of them had ulterior motives, and when they saw the anonymous letter, they basically believed it 70%. Then they learned that Lien Hadalong wanted to meet with them alone. Both of them turned green. In the past, the three of them often discussed some internal confidential matters, and it was normal for them to meet alone. But at this moment, it was undoubtedly a death warrant. The two were not good people either. They shot and killed the person sent by Lien Hadalong to deliver the message. They were ready to run away. As soon as they went out, they were chased and intercepted by Lien Hadalong, Lien Hadong, Awu, Aheng, etc. The war started immediately. Because Kangma had just taken office, Lien Hadalong did not dare to trust him 100%, so he did not involve his gang in this matter. The matter happened in a hurry. Originally, they thought they would have a meeting, so Susu and Afa only brought 100 or so brothers with them. This was because they were scared after receiving the anonymous letter, so they deliberately brought more people. Lien Hadalong was more prepared, with more than 200 people. Both sides were fully armed, from pistols to submachine guns, and even a lot of grenades. This fight was really lively. Bullets from both sides covered the sky, and the sound of gunfire and explosions was deafening. At that moment, it seemed as if we had returned to the war period. The strength of the two sides was quite different. In less than 10 minutes, half of Susu and Afa's men had died and could not hold on any longer. As if they had agreed, the two left some people behind, took their confidants and drove a few cars and went their separate ways, each escaping for their lives. No one turned back to help the other. Seeing this, Lien Hadalong and others immediately drove their cars to chase after them. Lazy House wishes everyone a happy New Year's Day. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 810. The troops that Susu and Afa left behind were quickly wiped out by Lian Haolang, Awu, and others. In fact, the two bosses had run away. These people were not stupid, and they did not need to give up their lives. So after a few diehards were shot dead, the others simply surrendered. They were all brothers in the society, so there was no need to kill them all. Lian Haolang sent a few people to watch these surrendered soldiers. The others divided their troops into two groups to hunt down the two traitors. The subordinates of Lian Hadong and Awu were responsible for hunting down Afa. Lian Hadong and others were well prepared and caught up with them in a short time. The 3 cars that fled in front were Afa and his brothers, and the 7 cars of Lian Hadong and Awu were chasing behind. Not long after, the two sides approached a certain distance and started shooting at each other again. Fortunately, in order to make the police appear later, Lian Haolang chose a very remote location. There were not many houses around, and there were not many people in the early morning. Even though the two sides were engaged in such a crazy gunfight, no civilians were affected. Suddenly, a portable rocket-propelled grenade launcher, commonly known as a bazooka, also known as RPG, emerged from the pursuit convoy. It was an absolute killer. Boom, a car at the end of Afa's convoy was blown away, and the wreckage flew all over the place, knocking over the car in the middle. Only Afa's car was left, and he fled madly. The two fallen cars delayed the pursuit convoy. Lian Hadong and others had to stop and deal with it first. Another rocket blew up another car that was blocking the road, and they were able to continue the pursuit. Seeing Afa was in front of them, they didn't expect that suddenly, several cars rushed out from the left and right forks, and 20 to 30 people came down, shooting at Lian Hadong and others with long guns and short guns. They naturally fought back quickly. It turned out that Afa had called his remaining men before and called them to set up a simple ambush temporarily, which temporarily saved his life. The two sides exchanged fire, the sound of gunfire continued, grenades were thrown at each other, and people were shot and fell to the ground, becoming corpses. The vehicles of both sides were also broken in the gunfight, and they could not escape. At this time, Lian Hadong and Afa were in a dilemma. If the fight continued, one of the two tigers would die and the other would be injured. Now that the vehicles were all broken, the Hong Kong police would arrive soon, and the one who survived might not be able to escape. This situation was too embarrassing. Afa couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Although he kidnapped the 4th uncle at the beginning, he lost contact soon after getting the ransom, and he didn't really kill the 4th uncle. In other words, he just betrayed his uncle and didn't make any blood feud. But in the underworld, traitors are taboos and must be eliminated, so Lian Haolang would be merciless to him. In any case, saving his life is the most important thing now. Stop fighting, hey, stop fighting. Damn it! Cease fire. The firepower of Afa's side weakened to a stop, and Lian Hadong's side was very surprised and couldn't help but stop. Brother Dong, Brother Dong. Afa, what tricks are you trying to play? Lian Hadong was not polite to Afa. Brother Dong, the police are coming soon. If we continue to fight, we will die together. Don't you really think about your brothers? Afa, you idiot, think about your brothers. Are you qualified to say that? Unexpectedly, it was Awu who answered him this time. Awu hated people who didn't talk about loyalty the most. When he heard Afa talking at this time, he was furious. If you knew to think about your brothers, why would you stab everyone in the back? Surrender quickly if you know what's good for you, and then release 4th uncle, and you can leave a whole body. Brother Wu, I was forced to do it. Before Lian Hadong spoke, Awu and Afa started arguing in the air. In fact, it was just Awu who was scolding Afa unilaterally. Afa dared not offend him at this time. He could only make excuses and put all the faults on his sister-in-law. He was indeed eloquent and he persuaded Awu to calm down gradually. Awu's good guy card must have been used up. He turned to Lian Hedong and asked, "Brother Dong, what do you say? I'll listen to you. If you want to say who hates Afa the most in the club, it is actually Lian Hedong. What is this? Of course it's jealousy. Because Lian Hedong is the brother of the boss, he has a place in the club. His own ability is neither literary nor martial. He is not as good as Afa in doing things, and not as good as Luo Tianhong and Ahong in fighting. Moreover, he is addicted to gambling and owes tens of millions of foreign debts. The brothers who follow him naturally can't make much money. Afa is smart and capable, and he is very loyal and trustworthy, second only to Lian Haolong and sister-in-law Susu. Therefore, he is always compared with Lian Hedong. One relies on relatives to get to the top, and the other relies on real ability. Anyone with a discerning eye can tell who is better. Afa often brags about himself, saying that he has many people, a lot of money, and great power. He is not very respectful to Brother Dong. If Lian Hedong is content to be a freeloader, he can just put up with it. It doesn't really matter. But Lian Hedong always wants to make achievements to show his big brother, and is determined to prove that he is still capable. But with Afa as a role model, even if he makes some achievements, they are worthless in comparison with Brother Fa. Lian Hedong's envy, jealousy, and hatred can be imagined. At this time, it is obvious that Afa's words make sense, but Lian Hedong still wants to get rid of him as soon as possible. What should we do? Cold, Lian Hedong yelled, and he raised his submachine gun and spurted flames at the opposite side. The two sides opened fire one after another, and the battle became more intense. Since the two bosses broke down, it was a life and death battle, and there was no way out. For a while, the flames crossed, and the battle was even more fierce than before. They all fought desperately. 20 minutes later, when the remaining manpower of both sides was less than 30 people, a new force suddenly appeared and attacked the two sides indiscriminately. It was Zhangma's subordinates, led by Zhangma, Xiajia, Xiajing Er, Zhangwen, Zhao Jizhu, Kraken, and others. This is where the Mingjing team finally closed. And Lisa and Lian Haolong's little son, who was only 1 month old, was quietly sent away by the Mingjing team early. Lisa put on makeup and hid her identity. Holding the child, accompanied by Yin Xiaoming and Xiao Xiao'er, she went to the mainland through the Luohu port. All the relevant documents and other items were provided by the Feng Guoxiyu team. They are in the police department, and as reincarnations, their skills and methods are first class. Getting some documents is really a piece of cake. Of course, through such a small matter, the Feng Guoxiyu people also have a certain understanding of the leader's character. For two plot characters that have nothing to do with the mission, he is willing to spend so much effort to help. It is really rare to have such a character among reincarnations. It is also a bit nagging.